Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. Happy midterm break to our distinguished teachers. I bring us greetings. I bring you greetings from the table of the Honorable Commissioner for Education, Science and Technology, Professor Abayomi Adelaja Rigbabu. I once again welcome us all to today's session. It is with a grading heart that I want to commend the effort of our distinguished school portal administrators, school administrators, teachers, and subject teachers in their respective schools. Since the OGSERA activity has commenced, it has been with our unrelenting efforts that we have achieved so far. We can all recall when the project commenced that it commenced with the e-dossier, and over the times we've recorded successes on a series of activities that we've had. Despite the challenges of infrastructure, our school portal administrators had stand in the gap, ensuring that teaching and learning in schools is not ended in the four walls of the classrooms. In time past, it has been a practice whereby learners we queue for the collection of their report cards. And with digitization, this has become a thing of the past. So we've recorded success in that as. And with the class teachings from our teachers, it has been observed, and it is, as you all know, that it's a global chorus that teaching is leaving the four walls of the classroom, has even left the four walls of the classroom. So wherever we are, wherever our learners are, we can keep in contact with our students. And so OGSERA, as part of its mandate, as part of its 6 pillars, is also bringing on board the online teaching and learning. We've been having transactions like call for applications, we've recorded transfer forms, placements, and the likes. And now what we're having, what the ministry introduces to us, is the use of lesson notes and the assessment tools to our learners and to our teachers. So I welcome every one of us once again. Relax and be rest assured that this session is being streamed live. We can equally check back on our various platforms. Check us on other media, social media handles to watch the videos. While we go on short break, when we resume, we are going to proper training session. Thank you. Welcome back. Thank you for your time. Having gone on break, now we move into the session proper. And having this session with us, we have in the house our distinguished educators who will be putting us through the topic benefits of using OGSERA lesson notes and its assessment future. Together with me is Ms. Quincy Ademola and Mr. Akindeyin Isiaq. Welcome, Ms. Quincy. Good afternoon, Mr. Isiaq.
Good afternoon, Mr. Thompson. Good
Good
afternoon,
afternoon, ma'am.
everybody.
Yeah, good afternoon, Mr. Thompson. And good afternoon to everyone.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Hello. As I said earlier, since there is technical itch at the other end, be rest assured that the teachings of this session is available on all our social media handles. You can join us on Facebook handle Ogun Education Matters, our Instagram OGSERA_deeper, on the YouTube OGSERA, as well as Twitter and LinkedIn. Thank you. Ms. Quincy, are you back?
Oh, yes, I am.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, so good afternoon, every educator out there. Let me also use this medium to say Happy Democracy Day, since we are one integral part of the country. So, I am going to be sharing a slide briefly, and we're going to be discussing about the benefits of the OGSERA lesson notes and the assessment features. So please, if you can hear me, can you just drop your favorite emoji or just in the comment section tell me you can hear me, so I know we are both on the same page. Please, comment section briefly. Just tell me you can hear me. Yes. Hello, I can hear you. Your favorite emoji. Oh, perfect. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yes, I really appreciate that. So briefly, I'm going to be sharing my screen. And also I have with me my product manager, Mr. Akinde Isiak. So we are going to be discussing briefly what the OGSERA platform, the lesson notes platform is about. So from the word lesson notes, we already know what it means as teachers, because basically it is what guides us from the lesson plan, everything within the lesson plan. We have the learning objectives, the starter, the icebreaker, the practical approaches, the instructional materials, then the lesson contents, the evaluation. We all know what all of that is. But right now, OGSERA is taking us into another space and letting us know that yes, we can do all of this and we can get better at it using technological tools. So yes, what are the major common challenges in teaching as teachers? The major common challenges we have is we know that writing lesson plans are really stressful, because yes, because we want to give our learners the best, so it is always stressful searching for resources, getting materials, trying to write all of them. So it makes it very, very stressful, and a bit sometimes we will get it, but yes, it is stressful because once we write for this term, once we write for next term, and so on and so forth. One other major challenge in teaching is we are unable to measure student performances. Now, because most of the time we have so many learners that we are teaching, at the same time we want to measure their performance. yes, we might measure their performance, but it might not be measured to the point where we can get useful data that we can use to make decisions. When I say decisions, I'm talking about teachers. You can make decisions on what kind of tool should I use, decisions on what kind of material is best for my learner, decisions on okay, how what approach do I take it to. So it's when you measure your learners that, because measuring your learners, you're measuring yourself also, directly or indirectly. Also, one very common major challenge in teaching is teacher burnout. Yes, we understand what teacher burnout is. The heavy load, you want to mark, you want to write, you want to teach, you want to explain, you want to do all of those too. So eventually, as a human, you get burnt out and it affects you mentally and psychologically. So these are few of the major challenges. One other major challenge we have is the cumbersome assessment processes. It is stressful because you want to, once you get it, you want to mark, once you assess your learners after setting those questions, and you have to make sure that those questions has to fulfill a particular degree. You have to check for the difficulty test, or maybe it is too difficult, maybe it is too easy. Is it going to measure what I need to measure? Then okay, after you get it, you start you introduce it to the learners, you mark again. After you mark, then you grade. So it is very cumbersome. The process is quite cumbersome. And one other very common challenge is there is limited student engagement. Students cannot really engage too much because why? You is what you gave, you just wrote it on the board, and there is you can't even really have time to explain, because in the 40 minutes of your duration you want to teach. In that 40 minutes you want to write the notes on the board. In that 40 minutes you want to assess them, also you want to explain also. So it is quite cumbersome, and it also makes sure that there is limited engagement. And one very key important thing is lack of data analytics tool, because you are the one doing it. There are so many teachers that go the extreme length by trying to use so many tools, but still there are lack of analytics tools, because you can't capture some, for some learners you want to capture their degree of failure, you want to capture their degree of persistence, how much they will strive, but you are limited because you don't have enough analytics to capture all of this. Now, also, when we now talk about this, now we've already explained the challenges behind this. Now, what can solve this problem? Now we have a new future, which is a standardized lesson plan and lesson notes. Now, this standardized lesson plan and lesson notes has gone through various research, it has gone through series of reviews, and it is coming here to address all of these challenges that has been explained, that we've explained previously. And yes, we have over 7,000 lesson plans, over 7,000 lesson plans that is addressing a lot of these issues. Also, briefly, I'm going to, and also we have over 20,000 assessment questions for each of this lesson plan. So briefly, I'm going to be bringing my PM to also come and explain some of the benefits of these tools. And this is what the plans looks like. So hello, Mr. Kindeng.
Yeah, hi, Queensley, and good afternoon, everyone. Hello, everyone.
Good afternoon, sir. We can hear you, sir.
Okay. Yes, so I'm just going to pick up from where you stopped. So like Queensley mentioned, the reason why this feature is also coming up is to see how we can continue to improve the teaching and learning outcome, for students and for teachers, making teachers work much more easier. Like she also mentioned some of the challenges that teachers face, like the cumbersome process and all of that. So those are some of the key things that we are hoping this new feature would help to solve. And the ultimate goal is to see how we can improve or continue to improve the teaching and learning process for students across all the schools. Um, um, wherever they are at any point in time at which they are. So and that's why this particular feature is being launched, and it's just like providing access to standardized lesson plan and lesson notes for teachers and also for students as well. So and like you said, there are over 7,000 lesson plan and lesson notes that are available for you as teachers. So this means that
Jọ̀wọ́
as a
mi lọ
teacher,
sí ọ̀dọ̀
you need
Isiaq. Bá mi sáré lọ
state
kó bá sọ
public
pé kó
schools.
pa fan.
There
Kó
are
pa fan ẹ̀ kó wọ́n affect
so
webinar
in many
session.
of the state public schools. So
Okay,
there
má
are
worry. Ó ti rí message mi.
over teachers to also access. And you can access the lesson plan. In the lesson plan, it comes with the detailed breakdown of each lesson, and you also have the lesson note as well. We'll be having a practical demonstration. I'm sure Mr. Thompson will be taking us through the practical demonstration of how to access each of all of these things directly. Beyond assessing lesson plan and lesson note for teachers, there are over 20,000 assessment questions. So the game changer that is coming here is that your students are not just taking the notes. There are also assessment questions. So each lesson note comes with like 5 to 6 assessment questions. So the assessment question is helping you to check whether the student, if they understand that particular content of the lessons or not. So as a teacher, if you're using the OGSERA platform, your student can access the lesson note even before the class, and you can also tell them to take the assessment questions. So that is going to help you to measure if the student understand the questions or not. It is also built in such a way that it is very interactive, that the student can, it will just be as if they are playing game, and before you know, they are learning. So each lesson note have assessment questions that have been preloaded that the student can take the assessment questions. You as a teacher as well, you have access to the lesson plan for that particular topic, that particular content. You have access to lesson notes. You also have access to assessment questions for that particular topic. So you can download the assessment question, use it to improve on your teaching and learning in the class, and also even tell your students to take these assessment questions ahead of the class so that it guides the way you are already teaching them, right? So like I said, for teachers now, this is just a sample of the lesson plan and lesson note. So for all the subjects in primary school, all the major subjects, primary school, junior secondary school, secondary schools. So we use all the scheme of work as well. So the scheme of work contains all the subjects in the scheme, all the lesson plan contains all the subjects in the scheme of work platform. Mr. Thompson would show us this practical demonstration. So as a teacher, you have access to the lesson plan for that particular lesson. So I'm not just assessing, the platform is not just providing you access to lesson notes, it's also providing you access to the lesson plan so that you can have a better understanding of what you're teaching your students. So you can also use the lesson plan to teaching for that particular note for you as a teacher, right? And you also be able to access the assessment questions, right? So when it comes to so for students now, it's very different. The way it's showing for you as a teacher is very different from the way it's showing for students. We are also going to see a practical demonstration. So for students, they will be able to, from their dashboard, they'll be able to see that your subject, just like what is showing here, they are able to see that for this week, mathematics, week 1, these are all the subjects. So they can easily take the notes. After taking the note, they will be able to take the assessment questions to help them to practice. So you as a teacher now, when you use the platform to get the lesson plan and get the lesson notes, you can also use the platform that the student can go ahead on the platform to go and assess that particular note and also take the assessment question. So there's also an analytics that we have also provided that would help you guide you and say, okay, for this particular week, this is the content understanding rate. Because as students take the assessment question, the system keep track of all of this and can tell you that, okay, for this week, certain number of students understand this particular topic much more than the other. So the system is beyond just student accessing the platform. The system would also start providing analytics for you as a teacher that can guide you as to which student is doing well, which student is not doing well, and how can you better improve on it. So this is just like an example of the assessment question. So for assessment for students, it is also built to make it very gamified. When students take the note, they take assessment for the note. There is also weekly assessment that has also been provided. So the weekly assessment combines all the questions that the students have done for the week. Let's say, for example, there are 10 subjects for the week, right? So the weekly assessment combines, it's just like saying take home assessment, combining questions from all the subjects that the student have for the week. So students will take your assessment. When they take your notes, they will take the assessment question. And there's now a weekly assessment question that will help to now measure if the students really understand what they've learned on Monday, right? So that's just the way we have built in such a way that when your students take the note, they take the assessment question, then at the end of the week, they will now, there's another assessment question that will now capture all the questions that have been answered, or all the topic that you have taught them, that they will now be able to take the questions all over again. So this is helping us to measure how the students are learning, if truly they understand what they learn on Monday, or they understand what they learn on Tuesday. So when they take the weekly assessment, the system can now tell you that, okay, this student for this week, they understand this topic much more better, right? So the next one is just for us to have a practical demonstration, which I think Mr. Thompson will take us through all of that. So we're going to show a practical demonstration of how to use the platform as a teacher. We're also going to do a practical demonstration of how to use the platform as student. So beyond just using the platform to access lesson note and lesson plan, and even the assessment question for yourself as a teacher, you can also start, encouraging your students to log on to their platform as well, to take the assessment question and also take the weekly assessment questions, because all of that, the system can now start telling you what is the learning rate of your students, if they are really learning, if they are really understanding what they are teaching, or not. So as a teacher, you can better know on what are the things that needs to be improved on. So those are some of the key innovations that are coming on board on the OGSERA platform. And again, the whole purpose is to see how we can continue to improve the teaching and learning process for every child across Ogun State, right? So that is just where we'll stop here. I want us to go to the practical demonstration. So I don't know if Mr. Thompson is ready to take us through the practical demonstration now.
Thank you, Mr. Isaac and Ms. Quincy Ademola, our distinguished digital educators. Thank you for your time. Without wasting much of our time, yeah, without wasting much of our time, quickly we go into practical session. As said earlier, the purpose of this intervention is to ensure that teaching and learning shifts, take a drastic shift from the four walls of the classroom to in compliance with the new norm. That is, that either the learners are in school or not, the teaching and learning that are expected to be taken by teachers, learners have access to either to study ahead or after the lesson has been taken by the teachers. The learners have self-paced learning provided by OGSERA to continue the activities that have been taken by the teachers at their conveniences during the holiday, during midterm, at anywhere. And this also will assist the proficiency of these learners after at the end of the lessons. And to do this, as said earlier, we'll be running through different sessions. Firstly, we start with that of the teacher's access. I want to stress that this program, assessing digital content on the portal, teachers lesson notes, is centered on the registration of its teachers. So to our public school teachers, unless your school SPA allocates your role as subject teachers, so if you are only in the school as a teacher and not allocated to any subjects, then such teacher will not have access to see the content. So it is centered on the allocation done by the subject teachers, by the SPAs to the affected teachers. And in doing this, firstly, here I am in an SPA or a teacher's account, as the case may be, at your end. Come to the navigation module, click on the digital class, then click on teacher's lesson notes. To access the teacher's lesson notes, that is the procedure to locate, navigate around the table. And going forward, it is expected for the teacher to filter the terms based on term of interest of interest in stress this to move in between terms. You can see what second or third, but to learners they are expected to study following the trend at which they are being taken in the school. So we click on the term, then move to program. In this case, I'm choosing junior secondary. Having done that, move to class. This also centered, this teacher is taking GS 1 and 3 based on his allocation. I chose GS 1, now move to subject. So the teacher subject is mathematics. The teacher is taking mathematics GS 1, GS 3. Having done this, now click on fetch. So it has fetched the notes for the class. This is the teacher's lesson notes for all the weeks. Teachers can navigate around these weeks based on his needs. So at the left hand side here, we see this topic for week 1. Topic for week 1 is estimation. You can navigate around this. For the subtopics, here we have 4 subtopics. So to see the content, teachers will click on the subtopic. This will now give us the organizational structure of the lesson notes. This is what we have on the table for the lesson notes on mathematics GS1. We have access to organizational structure as we've seen here: topic, subtopic, learners' objectives, teachers' activity, learners' engagement, learners' activity as the case may be, practical approach, instructional resources, and references. And beneath that is where we have the content. This content has undergone review. The ministry has engaged teachers. This is the product of our teachers who had prepared this, and it equally went through the processes of review. So, for us as a teacher, we can download this content either to read offline, or we can equally save it in our drive, provision to print directly from this page. As said earlier during the introduction, this interface interaction, learners at their end while they are taking the session, they can ask the teacher's question. Ma, I'm having difficulty at this area. What is expected at this end? How do I get this? Those contributions being made by the learners comes into this field of the teachers. This interaction table here. Contribution made by the students comes to this point, and the teacher as well can equally make the contribution. Teacher might equally make contribution to the learners. In this, I can see I'm passing a message to the students. Hello, students. So the students in your class, all the students in that class will see this message. This role will replace the WhatsApp provisions and this also will ensure that their attention is focused on the activity expected on the portal. So that is on that. And as I said earlier, we call the provision for having taken the lesson, the learners will equally take the assessment question. And as a teacher, we have provision to see the assessment question, but we cannot review. We cannot edit this question. But if you have a contribution to make on the question, as I said earlier, these are our contributions. If we have contributions to make on this, we can chip in our contributions via our existing platforms. And on the questions, as a teacher, we can see the questions and the correct answer is visible to us at our end. But to the learners, correct answer will not be made visible. As you can see here, question 1 here is if one orange costs 2 naira 75 kobo, estimate the cost of 29 oranges. These are choice of answers, and the correct answer. So to us as a teacher, you can see this, and assessment being taken by our students will equally be visible to us as a teacher to see the progress of the activity being done by our teachers. And this assessment is available on weekly as well as at the end of the term. We can move back to, you can navigate around the table. You check the first term, the first week, you can equally navigate around that to choose other fields if so desire. Chose first term. Now we are moving to another term. So as a teacher, you can navigate around this. You can see the assessment question, as I said earlier. So that is what we have for us on the teacher's end. And if you desire to print the question as a teacher, the provision is equally available for us to print the question. And with our contribution, with our consistent advice to learners at the assembly ground in our respective classes. And if as teachers, if we make it as a point of duty to learners that we engage them, okay, our next topic is this, log into your profile on OGSERA, take the content, take the assessment against our next class. With this will equally aid teachings in our classes. So we are looking forward to us to continue in the path as we've chosen from time past. So as a student, to access the e-content, the student will click on the digital class at the left side pane of the table, click on digital class and click on lesson notes. For students, I said earlier that this is based on the registration of the students. It's based on the student registration. As you can see here, these students, Abajo Papo, has access to this subjects: agricultural science, basic technology, and the likes. This is so because the student has been registered for the following subjects. So if the student is not having the registration, he will not have access to this content. That's what I shared earlier. As a student, the student can take any of these assessments, take the content alongside the assessment. As you can see, we can see the progress of the activity that has been done on this page. We are seeing 3 out of 21 notes taken, 1 of 16. To take the notes, the learner is expected to click on the subject that he or she wants to take. Now I'm clicking on English study. You can see it is 0 taken. So we are now to the English study for week 1. You can see lesson 1, lesson 2, lesson 3, and ongoing like that for all the weeks. Learners can navigate. If it's going to week 2, you can see. So for week 1, click on view notes. The page is interactive to grab the attention of the learners. So learning objectives, learning outcomes, as we have in our organizational structure as a teachers. By the end of this lesson, learners should be able to, 1, to create awareness. And now click on let's get started. Now, just a moment, which of this applies to you? I am reading ahead of the class, or I am reading after the class. Recall in the contribution of Mr. Isaac that the learner can read ahead of the class or to read after they have been taught in the class. In this case, I'm choosing reading ahead of class, and then now click on save and proceed. The learner will now have access to the content. Content for this class will be displayed to the learner. I can equally navigate back to other page or to other subjects if so desired. Because the learners has attempted the first time to be required to do this. I said earlier that the learner cannot choose beyond the current term. This is important, and this is so to ensure that the learner's attention is not divided, but rather it is tailored and restricted to what they are being taught in the current term. This is why this is so. I'm refreshing. Page. So click on basic science, click on view notes. Having clicked on the weeks, click on view notes. Let's take a tour. Learner have access to the content. and the progress of activity done by the learners. This is to for the learners to know that every step taken at every session is recorded, and if a note available to the learners to rate, to give it either 5-star or 4, depending on the teachings and the notes made available for him or her. They can give ratings on what they have. As I said earlier, that they have class interaction. They have students to make interaction among themselves and equally with the teachers. You can see a contribution here, earlier done by this learner. So this contribution here will be made available to that subject teacher in the class interaction. So to the students, learners are expected to take these notes, study one after another, study over time. And when he or she is satisfied and confident that he has taken the lesson, he can now proceed to take the assessment. To take the assessment, you click on Take Assessment field here. So that will take us to Take Quiz. Click on Take Quiz. So the questions will be made visible to the learner to pick out of the available questions. And to the students, their parents can equally download the content. For example, if the learner is making use of either the parent's device, you can download and print that note so that you can have access to the content wherever he or she is. And having completed the first class, you can move to the next lesson. Having concluded the first lesson, and then click on Take Assessment. Take Quiz. So taking the quiz now, at the quiz page, you can see at the upper part we have the progress of the activity done by this student. He has taken 1 out of 2 content available for week 2. He has not made any rating. So depending on the study, he or she can give rates can rate the teachers or rate the available content based on how best they consider the lesson impactful. And taking the questions, the question is equally time bound. You can see the time is displayed here. This is equally to ensure that the learners manage the time well, and it equally prepare the learners for computer-based test examinations. So with this, we are preparing our learners for CBT examination. Here, the learners ask the questions and can choose the answer they consider the best, and then proceed to the next question up to the last question. So that is all that we have on the session for today. As I said earlier, the assessments being done by the learners are equally visible to the learners. And this content, this assessment is equally available to our zonal offices at our local government headquarters, ZEOs. We have reports of the assessment being done by the students. At the ministry, we have reports of assessments being done by these learners. So this gives us reports on how these features are being used by our students. Thank you, everyone. So, quickly, now we will be attending to our question. If you have questions, our chat room is available. We'll be seeing series of questions and we'll be attending to these questions.
Yes, Mr. Thompson, I even want to. There are something I wanted to also pointed out.
Okay,
If I can proceed here. So I also wanted to add that, like you said, our teachers should also encourage the students to take the notes and take the assessment. And there is also the weekly assessment that student can take. So aside from student taking the notes and taking the assessment in the notes, they now also need to take the weekly assessment. So subsequently, we'll be introducing some challenges that, based on which student is taking the weekly assessment often, I'll be just doing different challenges to see how students are learning, and there will be lots of prizes and gifts to also be won in that category. So as soon as we are ready to launch that out, we're also going to pass that information to everybody. But the purpose of again is to the students should just take the notes, take the assessment at the same time. Take the weekly assessment question. So we're going to try to make it very, very gamified that everybody will want to learn and participate in that end. Thank you, sir.
thank you, sir. I want to equally pass this that demo videos on how to use this content is available on our YouTube page and equally be made available to us on all our social media handles. Follow us on all our social media handles for updates and to our students. Uh, we it's a known fact that many of our learners have access to mobile devices, and as teachers, the best way we can get feedback from our students is if we give reports. We ask learners to give reports on their engagement, their personal engagement on this when we get back to classes. So if this are being done, it will prepare other students for them to assist us in our class teachings. Thank you. So thank you, Mr. Isaka. Ms. Quincy,
Thank you so
thank
much,
you.
sir.
Thank you.
Thank you
So
so much. All
quickly,
right, sir.
we
I think
okay,
I have one other very important part. I'm not sure if you mentioned the part of the student to
okay,
teachers interaction
okay,
that the teachers should, because one thing that usually we used to talk about when we say we are using technology is the fear that technology is going to take away teacher to student engagement and teacher to student interaction. But we would like you that there is a section there that is like a WhatsApp chat. So please try to engage your learners and encourage them to also engage you when they finish reading a particular content and they do not understand. Let them ask you questions directly so you can respond to them. So you get student to teachers interaction and it helps motivate the student also to learn more. So that is just my summit.
thank you.
Thank you very much,
So
sir.
quickly, we run over questions. We run over our questions. Yes, I have a question here from Michael Oluwasegun. The question is the lesson accessible for both teachers and students in the primary schools? Yes, the digital lesson notes is available to all learners and teachers in our public schools on OGSERA. As I said earlier, it is centered on the teacher's allocation. If you are a teacher in our public schools and your SPA has allocated a particular class or subject to you, then you have access to this. And if you have any student in your school that has been registered for subjects, they have access to the content. So that's answer to your question. Oyeyemi Ola is asking, the primary school content in all the subjects are not accessible. after subject teacher allocation. Ms. Quincy, please can you come up on this?
Okay, so firstly, like we said earlier, the subjects are, firstly, let me just point out two things. Subjects are available based on the allocations. That means the subject teacher allocation. That's firstly. And also, over time, we are going to be continually releasing some other subjects that weren't catered for in the beginning. And but we have subjects that are there for primary school. We have the likes of English, the entire English subject from the entire primary school is on the OGSERA platform. So every teacher that was assigned to be English teachers should have those contents there. And just check, we have the basic science, you have I think for the primary school we have the home economics, the PVS subjects, the home economics, the Greek, the information sciences, the history. It is there. So just check the go through the process Mr. Thompson explained. Then if you feel you still can't find it, you can always communicate to us. Either you use the help desk or you are probably in the community, then yes, we can all discuss resources.
Thank you. If you have questions, please, the chat room is available. Kindly make your contributions on the chat box so that you can attend to this. Yeah, I will direct this question to you, Ms. Quincy.
Sam,
Yeah, I said I'm directing this question to you.
okay. So what is the fate of approved private schools? Are we to continue with the analog lesson notes? All right. So this is saying that for every private school that is okay, the fate of the
Would
approved
you
private
would you want
schools,
me
are
to
we to
take
continue? Okay,
would you want
Isia,
me to
please
take
take
that?
that question. I think
Okay.
I'm just getting it. Please take it.
All right. So, like we've shared, for us, is to continue to see how we are improving, how we are driving the teaching and learning, for students across the state, right? So, as this great innovation is launched currently, is launched on the OGSERA platform, which means that it is currently accessible to schools, teachers that are on the OGSERA platform. At least, basically, at first, the private schools, the public schools on OGSERA. So we are still looking forward to one of our key major goals is how we'll continue to make this lesson note and assessment feature accessible. Like we know, for schools that are private schools that are on our EduTerms basic, right? They are also going to be having access to this lesson note and also assessment questions. But at least for now, basically on the OGSERA platform, it is accessible to public school teachers and also public school students. So everybody will be able to access that platform. For those that are private schools, if you're on the EduTerms platform, you'll also be able to access it from there. I think from our own end, that's how we can answer, how we can respond to the question. Except I don't know if Mr. Thompson would want to speak from the other perspective. Thank you.
What the ministry has in mind when the OGSERA, the deeper platform was introduced, that we want all schools, both public and private, to be on the same pedestal on OGSERA. But sequel to the resistance that only the generation of lane is what private schools want to opt for. This is why other provisions are excluded from OGSERA. And to assess this, it is centered on subject allocation. If our private schools are not using OGSERA for result upload, not taking it for class attendances, these are only meant for public schools. And so, to benefit this, I will advise that, as it has been said, that it is available to those who are on EduTerms platform, but it is absolutely free for learners in public schools to those learners and teachers. Thank you. Owodabi Stephen Ogunade is asking, okay, commending and suggest this training is repeated for more effectiveness. Thank you, sir. As I said it earlier, this training is being recorded and being streamed live on our YouTube as you are watching over there. And the demo to this content is equally available on other social media platforms. Please follow us, ensure you subscribe so I get more updates and for continuous engagement. Thank you. I have a question here. Oluwakemi Ojo is asking, how can we incorporate this into the system since 95% of the students does not have an Android phone? I am teaching GS2 class. How can they access it? Thank you, Mr. Ojo. I want to believe your students who are in GS2, you are preparing them for SN examination. When they finish, you'll be taking JAMB. So, how do they activity practices? They are not expected to do all this while in school. And if your school have provision, that is good. And if not, when even encouraging this in schools, we even bring about distraction. And so it is advisable that learners make use of their parents' devices when at home. When they are in school within the hour of 8 to 2, they have a structured program that they are engaged with. So it is when they leave the school that they practicalize this. Thank you. Both junior and senior school available? Yes. As we speak, we have many subjects that are available, and as these subjects are being reviewed, we have so many that are being reviewed at various stages of review. And once they are available, check your profile, you see an update will equally be released to us. How can we download the lesson notes? I said that earlier. To students and teachers, they can download the lesson notes quickly. I go over to students and teacher accounts. You can see this is a teacher account here. This is download note provision. The teacher can download the notes. I can click on fetch the weeks that he or she desire. Click on the subtopics. The teacher has two provisions to download. You can download from this end, or you click on the download tab here to download. You can see it is downloaded. This is the content downloaded for use. So as a teacher or student, you can make use of this and read offline wherever the learner is. Thank you. I have a question here. Joyful Twins. Good afternoon, moderators. Week 7 that is meant for midterm test should be considered, and no topic or note should be assigned to that week. Well, that depends on your structure in schools. You are aware that the scheme of work has been structured from week 1 to the end. So as a teacher, know how best you can factorize this and ensure compliance with the scheme of work at your end. I've just answered questions on how to download. We have a question here. How will learners without Android phones in rural area have access to the quiz? Yes, that's a question. And I want to believe that learners in rural areas, the seats for jammed. Learners in various areas sit for external examinations. I want to advise that you don't restrict your learners because of their peculiarities. Where they are now should not debar the students. Please, as a teacher, encourage your students to make use of the existing provision. Thank you. If you still have questions, let's drop our questions and this will be addressed.
I also even want to, double comment on what you have been saying, that on the part of student not having access to digital device. We all know these days that if the student themselves don't have access to digital device, someone in their house, whether their parents, their brothers, they all have access to an Android or smartphone. So that while access to smartphone is still a bit of issue, but those are things that can still be that we are still can still be resolved. The students, your students, like Mr. Thompson was saying the other time, they can take the assessment at home. They will always have someone in their immediate family, their brother, their sisters that would have a smart device that they can log in to learn. And to be even frank, all this majority of these students we have now, all of them already know about Facebook. All of them know about all of these digital platform. All of them know how to use all of the. At least majority of them knows how to use all these digital platform. So we can, as teachers, we can always leverage on that to say, okay, if you can do the assessment, take the assessment at home, to use your parents' phone if you don't have a mobile device to access the note or take the assessment. So we can just continue to encourage them to do all of these things while over as we do all of these things, before everybody have access to it, and teaching and learning process is ongoing. Thank you. You're muted, sir. Mr. Thompson, you're muted.
Okay, sorry. Additional body is asking if the teacher's lesson note is active for all the teachers or we are available after the meeting. Mr. Additional body and all our teachers, access to teachers' lesson notes is already active on all our profile. It's already active. So please log into your profile, follow the procedure, and access the content. And we equally advise that we engage our learners, educate them on how best to do this. And at our end, we equally be making a short demo that can be shared on our various platforms on how best to use this. Thank you. Oh, Mr. Adekojo Loda Oba is asking how will learners access the platform. Yeah, please, man, watch over the video to get the procedure. Odude Olorunkemi is asking that has the notes been approved by the government to be printed out by public primary schools teachers for the school heads endorsement? The use of this lesson notes is already in use, has been approved, and is expected to be adopted by our teachers in schools. Thank you. Okay, Mr. Adede is seeking clarification that the question is, can we print and take to class for teaching? Why you've downloaded, printed, you can have this with you while you are going to class for teaching. And as a teacher, you know how best to navigate yourself with your lesson notes while in the classroom. Thank you. Do we have any other question? If you have any other question, kindly make use of the chat room to drop our questions, and this will be attended to. You're welcome. Welcome, Mr. Odude. In the absence of no other question, I want to appreciate our distinguished school administrators, school portal administrators, our wonderful teachers for our efforts so far in the digitization drive of the State Ministry of Education, Science and Technology. It has been with your efforts that you've gone thus far, and we look forward to more support, more engagement. If you have any contribution, please, our social media handles are all available. Engage us for your contributions, and this will be duly addressed. So once again, I want to appreciate my co-participants from EduTans. Thank you for the support. Quincy Ademola, Mr. Isaac Akindeyin, our digital educators, we commend you for this. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. It's been a great pleasure as well.
Thank you. Yeah, pray you. So, thank you, everyone. It's on this note that we bring this session to an end. Follow us on social media handles. Join us on our YouTube page. Tab for us to get notification on our updates. In a couple of weeks, we're going to be releasing another update as it affects notes and assessment too. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.